In a land marked by the grandeur of its natural landscapes, where the Pacific coastline stretches as far as the eye can see, stands Hearst Castle, an edifice so lavish that it has famously been referred to as the type of place God would have built if he had the money. This architectural marvel, perched atop the hills of San Simeon, California, serves as such an icon of unbounded opulence that it helped inspire movie director Orson Welles to create what many consider to be the greatest film of all time, Citizen Kane. There was a time, however, when the future of this extravagant mansion stood dangerously close to being dismantled. Indeed, Hearst Castle found itself at a historical crossroads, one that could very well have led to its vanishing from both physical reality and collective memory. In today's video at Old Money Mansions, we'll share the tale of the rescue of the Hearst Castle, for it is not just a narrative of architectural preservation, but also a compelling story of a community's dedication to safeguarding the cultural legacy of California's most opulent mansion. In the year 1919, a pairing of extraordinary creative vision took form. Its legacy manifest in the one-of-a-kind mansion we know as Hearst Castle. At the center were two figures: William Randolph Hearst, a man of prodigious means whose empire in publishing held sway over the American populace, and Julia Morgan, an architect of singular talent, notable not merely for her gender in a male-dominated field, but also for her unparalleled skill and imagination. Morgan, an alumna of the illustrious École Nationale Supérieure des Beaux-Arts in Paris, was the first woman to achieve a degree from its architectural program. And over her career, spanning half a century, she lent her genius to over 700 buildings. Contrastingly, Hearst wielded his power through ink and paper, courtesy of an inheritance from his father, whose fortune was hewn from the mining industry. When these two colossal talents met, their combined energies converged on an unparalleled architectural endeavor, a grand edifice set amidst the splendors of San Simeon, California. What began as Hearst's whimsical idea of what he called a little something soon burgeoned into a sprawling estate, 127 acres filled with opulent structures and luxurious gardens, christened by Hearst as La Cuesta Encantada, the Enchanted Hill. Construction embarked in the Roaring Twenties and would persist, with intermittent interruptions, until the waning days of the 1940s. Indeed, the castle is an architectural polyglot, primarily Spanish colonial in nature, yet subtly revealing Morgan's dexterity in diverse design vernaculars, from Gothic to neoclassical. The main dwelling, dubbed Hearst Castle, embodies the Mediterranean Revival style, its facade evoking the grandeur of a Spanish cathedral, complete with bell towers and intricate embellishments. Within its walls are 115 rooms, each imbued with distinct historical influences, from ornate bedrooms to a theatre and even a beauty salon. Among its many marvels, the Gothic suite on the third floor, Hearst's personal sanctuary, holds special prominence. Comprising a study, a private bedroom and a sitting room, it stands as a quiet alcove of Gothic inspiration. During its construction, Julia Morgan remained the sentinel of every detail. Whether overseeing the procurement of Spanish artifacts or collaborating closely with Hearst on the integration of his extensive art collections, her touch was omnipresent. The 1930s saw Hearst Castle metamorphose into an epicenter of culture and conversation. An illustrious roster, Winston Churchill, Calvin Coolidge, Clark Gable and Bette Davis among them, graced its halls, each one invited to partake in its luxury and marvel at its art collections, spanning antiquities from Egypt, Greece and Rome to European old master paintings. Yet, the pulse of this social hub dimmed come 1941. World War II, coupled with Hearst's dwindling finances, ushered in a period of stasis. Nearly 3 decades of ceaseless construction drew to a halt, aligning with the twilight of Hearst's years. The castle's history thus took a notable turn, its vibrancy supplanted by stillness. Now in the fall of 1951, with the passing of William Randolph Hearst, an unmistakable, almost palpable atmosphere of decline began to envelop his once grand empire of properties. Indeed, Hearst was more than a mere newspaper publisher or politician. He was a colossal figure in American business and media, an architect of what would become Hearst Communications. His absence created a vacuum in leadership that seemed to cast a shadow over the very estates he had so meticulously built. The years trailing the great man's demise were unkind to his real estate holdings. The Hearst Corporation, steward of these monumental assets, found itself caught in the eye of a storm. Disruptive forces in the realm of media were shaking the very foundations of the business, risking the leakage of closely guarded corporate secrets. Add to this the caustic flair of a family scandal centered on Hearst's own grandson, and the resulting turmoil pulled the family's vast media conglomerate into the quagmire of legal strife. A year of momentous decision, 1957, saw the Hearst Corporation bequeath Hearst Castle, a gem in their portfolio, to the California state parks. This offering was heralded as a means to conserve the land for posterity. Yet the initial aftermath was not auspicious. The state's inattention to the requisite upkeep caused the estate to languish in a disheartened state of disrepair. Resting atop the central coast of California in San Simeon, this historic haven's architectural splendor and historical import of the castle still couldn't stave off years of neglect following Hearst's passing and its handover to the state. Yet the benevolence of the Hearst Corporation, it should be noted, was tinged with pragmatism. The endowment was entangled in a broader transaction wherein $95 million exchanged hands, paid by the state to Hearst's descendants to safeguard the vast 82,000-acre Hearst Ranch. The property harbored the legendary castle, the family's venerated showpiece, until its eventual state donation in the 50s. Then, as the 1960s swept across California, an evolution in the perception of historical sites became manifest. Public access was granted, fueled by a rising appetite for history and heritage. Yet this openness bore its own cross. The properties began to show signs of wear, strained under the constant influx of history aficionados. With the advent of the 1970s, the clarion call for restoration could no longer be ignored. In 1985, the majestic Hearst Castle found itself on the precipice of decline, the echoes of its splendor gradually fading. A clarion call soon rung from historians, preservationists, and a newfound ally, the foundation at Hearst Castle, born in the very year that alarm bells rang about the estate's deteriorating condition. Affiliated with the Hearst San Simeon State Historical Monument and the San Luis Obispo Coast District of California State Parks, this non-profit foundation took upon itself the Sisyphean task of revitalizing the estate. Through concerted membership drives and fundraising events, the foundation made it possible for businesses, philanthropic entities, and private citizens to become stakeholders in the castle's future. Parallel to these efforts was the mission of the Hearst Castle Preservation Foundation, charged with the safekeeping of the estate's staggering 25,000 artifacts. Their guiding light was the assurance that millions could still wander through the castle's halls, their sense of wonder fueling California's state park system. 9 years elapsed before the state of California responded with much-needed funding. With these resources now at hand, the year 2000 heralded a significant phase of restoration, overseen by conservators of the highest order. These were men and women steeped in art history, fine arts, and even the chemical sciences, their expertise augmented by the era's cutting-edge technology. The task was monumental, magnified by the castle's size, the complexity of its architecture, and its vast repositories of art. Among the many restorative activities, the terracotta terraces were refurbished, the plumbing restored to its original condition, and period elevators and historic wood doors meticulously preserved. All of these were executed in strict accordance with the National Park Service's standards for rehabilitation. As the calendar pages turned to 2010, several pivotal restoration endeavors reached fruition. Not least among these was the rejuvenation of the Neptune Pool, completed in the late summer of 2018, a Herculean labor that necessitated the removal of over 9,000 square feet of marble tiles and replacement with new ones, quarried from the very veins of Vermont from which the original tiles had come. But even the roof was not to be overlooked. A project spanning nearly 2 years, it had to be conducted with surgical precision to preserve the invaluable art and architecture below it. Challenges were manifold, extending even to the protection of local bat and lichen species. Amidst these projects, the Hearst Castle Preservation Foundation remained steadfast, channeling funds and gathering support. In doing so, they ensured not merely the survival, but the renewed grandeur of this iconic estate. The year 2010 stood as a landmark, signalling the permanence of the castle for generations yet unborn. In the early months of 2003, Hearst Castle, set on the scenic coast of San Simeon, California, found itself enmeshed in an intricate web of legal entanglements. The focus of these disputes, a trove of art and antiquities that had been gathered with an insatiable appetite by none other than William Randolph Hearst. Alongside the architectural sketches etched by Julia Morgan, were also brought under legal scrutiny. Could the intellectual property rights, as well as the origins of these artifacts, withstand the judicial review? The dilemma went beyond mere bricks and mortar. It touched the very essence of the art pieces sheltered within the castle's imposing walls. Here, the Hearst Castle Preservation Foundation emerged as an unsung hero, laboring in earnest to conserve and refurbish the vast array of artifacts, which numbered a staggering 25,000. Fast forward to 2008, and another layer of complexity was added to the narrative: environmental responsibility. Particularly under the lens was the restoration of the Neptune pool. Built in the Roaring '20s, this pool had turned into an ecological concern, leaking thousands of gallons daily. The task was not just repair, but a conscientious renewal that took into account the footprint left on Mother Earth. The California State Parks Department took a leading role, upgrading irrigation methods and embarking on a mission to harness solar energy, unveiling plans for an 85,000 square foot photovoltaic canopy. By the year 2015, public sentiment about the restoration process was anything but monolithic. The castle, a splendid culmination of Hearst's grandiose vision and Julia Morgan's architectural finesse, has long been a theatre for spirited dialogues. There were those who argued that to touch even a stone in restoration would mar its eclectic beauty. After all, the castle had always been a unique blend of diverse architectural philosophies, much like Hearst's own cosmopolitan tastes. Contrarily, there were others who contended that the restoration was not just a costly aesthetic venture, but an essential act of safeguarding a significant slice of California's cultural patrimony. These supporters brought attention to the castle's role as a de facto museum, showcasing artifacts that spanned from ancient Egypt to Renaissance Europe. Come 2017, the debate took a fiscal turn. Questions arose about whether state resources should be committed to what some deemed an estate of luxury and ostentation. Critics wondered if it was justifiable to funnel state funds into preserving what was also an emblem of Hearst's affluence. However, advocates for the restoration offered a counter-narrative, focusing on the castle's contribution to the local economy and its educational value in matters of art, history, and architecture. In 2018, Hearst Castle reopened its storied gates in a remarkable event fittingly christened Twilight on the Terrace. It was a luminous evening that heralded not merely a reopening, but the successful culmination of an ambitious restoration endeavor. Imagine, if you will, guests partaking in truncated tours of the regal edifice, participating in a silent auction and swaying to the rhythm of live music. A reopening swim soiree in the Neptune pool served as the pinnacle of the night's festivities. A pool that had seen 2 painstaking years of restoration. Meticulous attention was accorded to every minute detail, from the tiled terraces to the vintage elevators. The endeavor upheld the stringent standards for rehabilitation set forth by the National Park Service. But the effort was not confined to preservation alone. The castle's expansive art collection, a compendium of unparalleled diversity and historical value, underwent a rigorous program of conservation. The years that have unfurled since that memorable night have been kind to Hearst Castle. It has re-emerged as a lighthouse of culture, casting its influence on varied avenues such as media and the arcane art of architecture. The castle's aesthetic fusion of Moorish influences with medieval Christian elements, crowned by its overarching Mediterranean revival style, has acted as a muse to architects and designers alike. The film reels of Spartacus and the digital frames of Lady Gaga's GUY music video have showcased the Neptune and Roman pools, further engraving the castle's legacy onto the tablets of popular culture. But the influence of Hearst Castle is not limited to music videos and films. In 2021, accolades were showered upon its restoration project, notably in the form of the Governor's Historic Preservation Award. This commendation did not just celebrate the finesse of designers and artisans, it heralded an innovative approach that encompassed an array of strategies. The Unsung Heroes video series, today's Voice from the Past quotations, and an enlightening 3-window exhibit in the visitor center. The approach broke new ground, striving to engage a broad spectrum of audience, whether they be in the flesh or in the pixels of a virtual world. As we cast our gaze into the horizon, the prospects for Hearst Castle gleam brightly. Under the watchful eyes and skillful hands of dedicated individuals and organizations, this paragon of American ingenuity is destined to continue its role as an eternal wellspring of inspiration and education for the generations yet unborn. And now we'd like to see you in the comments. Have you visited Hearst Castle in California, or would like to? We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences, and as always, thank you for your continued viewership here at Old Money Mansions. Cheers, until next time.